Restart or we're gonna pick
Yeah,
up?
we're doing it right now. We're basically restarted. All right, so we have a tier ranking video on the 50 states of the United States of America. We have basically
That's right.
school grade tiers: A, B, C, D, and F. No E. And
Okay, so it's not a 1 through 50 ranking.
it's not a 1 through 50. It's literally like the grade quality of the
Huh,
state.
all right.
And we're going
I'm
to
looking
start in a sort of a
at the-
jumbled order, actually, because I couldn't get this to be alphabetized. So, but this is we have Will as the co-host in the co-captain
Hello.
seat,
There's-
and yeah, I think
Do you want an alphabetized list? I can pull one up. It's not,
no, I mean
or do you have
nah, I
a
don't,
prepared list?
no, we don't have to. I like that it's random. It's more spicy.
Okay.
Um, we could always do that later though. But
Oh
I
yeah, I'll keep
even
you on your
timestamps.
toes.
Exactly. It'll keep me on my toes. Okay, so the first state is Nevada. Okay,
Nevada,
that's tricky. I'm gonna.
the
Okay,
Silver
so I've been to Vegas a couple times. I've been to Reno more than that. Mostly as a kid for in both cases, but I've been to Reno as an adult. Uh, it's a really, really flat and dry state with not a ton of foliage, not a ton of excellent nature that's like stereotypical, but it has sort of this it sort of has this second rate kind of nature of just desert rocks and stuff in the background.
High. It's got nice high. If you like high desert, you
Yeah,
like Nevada.
yeah, if you like desert that it just doesn't where you don't have to give a fuck, you just drive and you see cool rocks everywhere. Nothing really
Yeah,
beats Nevada.
it's clean.
Yeah, because
At least,
yeah, it's underpopulated, so it's very clean because of that, and it's chill. Like the people are chill, people are friendly. Uh, it's not a pretentious state, and it's a fun state.
3 million people total population. That's nothing.
Yeah, that's not a lot, and a lot. I think it's 2 million of those are in the Las Vegas area.
Probably.
And Las Vegas actually has a lot of nice up and coming. What do you call them? Hipster towns and stuff, and like
Yeah, yeah,
it's very
yeah.
it's not like you'd see on TV necessarily or in the movies. There's
No,
like
it's much more than the strip. It's growing into
cosmopolitan. Yes, it's
as
actually a
a
very
place.
cosmopolitan place. They have like a zoo and stuff. Who would have guessed? But they have like all sorts of amenities. Um, but for the but now we have to judge Nevada, and we'll probably do it sternly. I would give it a C. I'll give it a C
That
because
was my choice. I would say solid C. Not too bad, not too great. Right there in the middle.
it's yes, it has a lot of distinction and it has a lot of interesting sort of perks to living there, interesting laws, interesting uh, sort of lifestyle that interesting sort of part of the world that it's kind of removed but sort of close to California. So it's not the
Right.
worst geography, but it's not really the best geography because it's still like inland, very from the ocean. I mean, I'm biased towards the coasts a little bit. Um, I would say a C because it doesn't have the best public schooling, so I'm not going to give it a B for that reason. It doesn't have the best. The people there are kind of oppressed often by the casinos and Vegas and stuff, and that makes me think a little bit less of it. So
Yeah.
yeah,
But why it's good is it's got these holdover sort of Wild West policies that have stayed because it never got all that big. It didn't
yeah,
go through a corporate boom in the sense that like California and the rest of the West Coast has.
yes,
And it's libertarian and
yeah. It's still
it,
very
it,
much
it
the
held
Wild
it's not
West.
yeah,
It's
exactly.
libertarian, and there's an interesting history in Vegas, specifically of the mob kind of working with the Mormons to sort of build up a city out of the dust. It's a very
Yeah.
fascinating state, and it's a state that I've been meaning to go back to for a while now. So, without any further ado, we'll move on from Nevada. I think C is comfortable.
Yep.
Ooh, okay. I don't want to do California because that's where I lived there 20 years, so I'll wait on California.
We'll wait on that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's always a tricky one. Um, let's see. In no particular order, how about
I
this?
feel
You can't
I feel like I
literally.
should be picking these
Yeah, you
since
should
you're the
pick it.
one.
You exactly.
I
You
should,
can't see the state photos, so because the stream doesn't go to you. So you should just name one, and we'll go for it.
all right. We're gonna do. Let's do Colorado. Not too far off. We're not jumping too far, but we're in a close range.
Yes. Okay, so Colorado. All right, I'll give it a B, and I'll tell you why. I think the nature there is literally some of the best in the in the world, not just the country. I won't give it an A because I like Vegas more than Denver. So maybe because of that, because the nature is pretty good in Nevada also. Maybe because of that, I'll give it lower to C, because I really don't like the eastern part of Colorado. It's really really flat and boring. A lot of driving. Great people, but it's not like a destination. And I also think that Denver is not my favorite city. People love Denver. People love it's a high. I think it's a hyped city. Maybe there's something about it that someone could explain to me. But every time I've been there, I've noticed it's far away from the mountains. It's very flat. It doesn't have the best architecture of a first city. Um, it's not terrible architecture, but it's just not good. And I just felt like that kind of weighed the state down. The fact that half of it was sort of just not part of the mountains that's sort of famous for.
Mm-hmm.
But the mountains make up for it. I mean, the mountains they're so cool, and there's all sorts of different types of activities you can do there. So I can't really low. I would give it a D if it weren't for the mountains, but I have to give it a C. Maybe.
Okay.
What do you think?
I would lean maybe more in the C plus B minus range. Maybe at least C plus. I was more in agreement on B, but I mean just for the higher kind of standard of living there, it's pretty equidistant to a lot of other places.
Yeah,
But it
sure.
is going downhill with the climate and the rivers there.
Yeah.
it's set to kind of for a little bit of a come down.
Okay, so
So
so fun story about it is I was there during I was checking out a school there at one point during COVID's like during their health crisis with COVID, like their hospitals were maxed out and people couldn't get admitted to the hospitals because they're out of beds. And I went like the weekend that was happening, and I was freaking out because I was like, man, if I get COVID, I won't even be able to go to the hospital. And this was before vaccinations, and I was looking in the hotel room. I'm getting sick from just being from the altitude already. So I'm like, that's unnerving. Then I turn on the TV, and it says it's local news. The TV is saying that In-N-Out Burger just opened in Denver, like the very first one, and there's a 14-hour uh, waiting, like a car pile up.
sure,
Yeah,
sure,
yeah,
as
14
a as an
hours.
in-and-out
So
thing will
the
do.
level of stonership that goes on in Colorado is astronomical. Like they will wait 14 hours for In-N-Out Burger
Yeah, I mean, all that you see that in. I mean, you saw that up
during
here in
a
Eureka,
pandemic.
California. You saw that in Texas. People who like In-N-Out really care about In-N-Out. So, uh,
So there's a
but yeah,
humor to Colorado
absolutely.
for sure. There's a humor to it, but
Yeah, there's a West Coastness to it that is different from all the other surrounding states. Maybe it's
it's a liberal city. I think
yeah.
that can be fun. Definitely has its charm for that reason. I hate one thing though is I hate the fucking airport there. It's the worst airport I think I've been to in my life. Is the Denver airport, because it's like the size of, like, like the fucking, like, the Pentagon or something. Like it literally looks like it was designed to be like a secret government sort of like underground bunkers complex. It's like it's ginormous, and there's all these different terminals you have to take rails to, and there's like the food isn't good at any of the terminals. It was just like bad restaurants mostly. Uh, so something about Denver is just it's not a very like well put together city. Uh, it reminds me of like San Jose and its sort of orientation.
But get outside of Denver, you're going to see some of the best natural beauty in the country. So for that reason, I would go to be.
All right, I'll give it a B just because of the infamous nature. Yeah, we'll go to B. B minus. Okay.
All right, B minus sounds good. Okay, let's go. Let's take it a little east. Maybe something. Let's talk about Ohio.
Okay. I've been thinking about Ohio a lot lately. All right. I've only been to the airport in I haven't really been to Ohio, but I've talked to people who've been there and you know who've lived there, grew up there, and know people that've lived there for a long time.
Okay.
Everything I hear about it is that it's a very cool state to sort of like like sink your teeth into, but it's not a good state to be a tourist in. It's pretty boring if you're like a tourist. But
I
because
get that.
but because tourism is sort of like a flimsy sort of way to appraise anything, I think tourism shouldn't be like too strong of a factor in this evaluation for all these states. So I would, if it were just based off tourism alone, I'd give it a D. But because there's so many big cities there that sort of have like interesting hipster shops and also all sorts of nightlife and things going on. Like Columbus is known for its nightlife. Cincinnati, I think, is very close to Kentucky, and it's basically like the South. And they have like draws and whatnot. There's a lake to the north, a Great Lake to the north. So there's some sort of shore line that's accessible by Cleveland, right? I think it's Lake Erie. Uh, it's sort of sandwiched between Pittsburgh and like Illinois, or maybe is it Indiana? It might be Indiana. Yeah, Indiana and Pennsylvania. And Pittsburgh
Yeah.
is a from what I hear is a very cool town, and I hear Indiana is a fun state, and Indianapolis is a like a fun small city. So I would,
Yeah. What
yeah,
I'm reading, it seems very much like a state in between lots of things. You've got the Appalachian Mountains in the
exactly.
southeast. You got the plains, and you've got the lakes. You got a lot of. It's a confluence.
And they also have the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I think they have the NFL headquartered there or something. Um,
Yeah.
I'm gonna give it a B because as a tourist, I would give it a D. But as someone is a place to live for like have a family or something, I'd give it like a B.
Okay. Higher rating than than I would say, but
Well,
I think you have a
well,
synopsis.
okay. Now,
It's a big.
you know what? I'll give it a C because I don't know. Everyone there are people that complain about it, so there's got to be something wrong with it. But it's got a lot of interesting history. It's kind of got the best of both worlds in
Oh,
my opinion.
right. Everything on the East Coast, east of the Miss is going to have a boon towards history because
Yeah,
they
yeah.
just have longer periods of occupation by
Well, they've also
so
had like 7 presidents. It's got the most presidents of any state have come from Ohio.
yeah. First state to be admitted to the Union after the original 13.
Yeah, exactly. So I think it's definitely not a D state. It's a C state because it's sort of economically not the most relevant state, and the tourism does factor a little bit in, and it's not doesn't have the most impressive natural diversity of the state.
It's been a good middleman, and it's made its own name for
Yeah, it's not.
for
It's better than Nebraska. Like we pretend that it's Nebraska, but it's far superior to Nebraska. So
okay. Why
moving
don't we
on.
talk about Nebraska then?
Okay, okay.
Let's get that out of the
Yeah,
way.
let's get it out of the way. Yeah. Nebraska. Okay, aside from all the hospitals that are blown up, all the abortion clinics being blown up there, I think Nebraska actually has some interesting quirks. It's a very boring state to travel through, and no, I've never met anyone who said that they enjoyed driving through Nebraska in my life. So, um, yeah, I would say that's a pretty big bummer. But the other thing is that Omaha is actually one of the biggest cities in the Midwest, and if that means that it's got nightlife, it's got interesting, it's got steakhouses, it's got probably maybe some casino or something. It's got an interesting sort of urban diversity that you wouldn't expect in the prairies. So I'm not gonna give it an F. I'm gonna give it a D because I think Omaha might be worth checking out.
All right. I mean, I think a lot of places are going to have that one metropolitan area
Yeah, and
that makes,
surprisingly,
I don't know
Nebraska
if it
seems like
carries
one
the
of
whole
them.
city or the whole state, but it's
But okay.
something.
Let's do a contrast, just to show you that I'm not. I can view this complexly. Let's do Oklahoma. Oklahoma.
Okay. Well, all right. I feel like I already know it by that setup how you're going to treat this state.
So
So,
Oklahoma. Well, then this is the thing. Oklahoma, similar situation. You don't really want to drive around it too much because it's just long drives. You might maybe you chase a tornado if you're lucky, but that would be sort of it.
but OKC as compared to Omaha, you think is and I would
Worse.
agree, probably not a
Yes.
comp a comparable
Yes.
metropolis. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Just
And I'm
looking
going to give
here on
it
the
Oklahoma an F because
yeah.
the culture's
Yeah, that
ass. Only money there is in oil, and you can't expect people to just do that with their life in this day and age. So.
yep. No, that is not an upset or a surprise to anyone. Oklahoma is long known as a trash state, and you should get out of there if you can.
All right, all right.
So,
So what's next on the roster?
all right. I mean, I can go wherever, but if you want to stay within some kind of theme, we can do that, or I can just give you a random.
Yeah, just do random. Yeah, I mean, go for whatever you want.
All right. Well, going back up to the Northeast, let's talk Pennsylvania.
Okay, okay. Pennsylvania. I know you've lived there, and
This is the one. Yeah, this is one of the few that I can give personal,
credence to,
experience to.
or whatever it
Yeah,
is.
exactly.
And I visited actually Philadelphia recently and went to the Liberty Bell and just looked at some museum stuff. It's
Hmm.
I really liked Philadelphia. But I felt like it was just a little too close to New York to like rationalize sort of like moving away from New York or something to like live in Philadelphia. But
Yeah,
it reminded me a lot of San Diego, where it's like it's so close to LA that why even bother living there? But it's so much more chill and laid back that you're like, okay, I get it. I get why people prefer it.
I met. Yeah, everybody I met down there, like I never had a real problem with. Everybody was
Exactly.
like kind of okay, like because they're outside of the city enough that like you can feel like you're in this suburbia, but it's not suburbia. It's like nice little villages that have been there for a very long time, and they've just grown up without too much like crazy bullshit happening. No, not too much upsetting of the rural, or the sort of tranquil life that's just gone on. So I don't know, like it's just it
It's
felt like
Yeah.
more places ought to feel, and
Yes, yes, I agree with that 100%.
yeah,
When I was in Philadelphia, and it's not the same place where you were, but it's kind of close, and it felt like wow, idyllic. Like it felt like okay, this is like a nice. You feel like the countryside around you, even though you're not really in the countryside. You just feel so much more connected to the land for some reason.
yeah, you feel a little bit back in time, like
Yeah,
people aren't just dicks right away. I really did like it as far as just like a person
it
living
was
in
chill. Yeah, the
Pennsylvania.
people were personable. Yeah. despite like they didn't even have to be. They were more personable in my experience there. Um,
Hmm.
I haven't been to Pittsburgh, and I also hear that Central Pennsylvania is like kind of pretty different. Like there's College Station and Harrisburg and stuff. Do you know? Have you
Well,
ever been out there?
it gets kind of redneck too. That's the
Okay.
thing about Pennsylvania. Like interior, it is still really uh like you'll get some of that. You'll get accents, like weird accents that you've never heard before. That sound southern, but you're from Pennsylvania. How do you sound southern? But they do,
Okay. Wow.
and they'll talk in this real country way. And I just think New England has that kind of connection to that sort of English thing of regional dialects,
Yeah, yeah,
and
and yeah.
I don't think
Pennsylvania, is very, they have the Pennsylvanian Dutch, right? The Quakers, and they also have Quakers who aren't Dutch necessarily, but who are English. And then but apparently the Pennsylvanian Dutch are mostly German, and then the Amish are also. There's actually a lot of different kinds of white people in Pennsylvania. It's a very
right
diverse white
exactly.
people state, and it's one of the biggest
Yeah,
state that's known for white people too. But I'm gonna have to give it I'm gonna give it a B. I'm gonna give it a B because
yeah, it gets a
the reason it
at
won't
least
give it an
the
A is because there's nothing about it that would make me have to go there. There's no like, and maybe that's kind of speaks well to it because if there isn't a lot of hype, like maybe it's more authentic.
yeah, it's a well kept secret, is
Exactly.
what it is.
Exactly.
So we'll say B so that people don't take our word and start flocking as our millions of listeners will do after they hear this.
All right, I'm promoting it. I'm giving it A status. Okay.
Nice.
Nice. Well, maybe like A minus, just because of I just don't know exactly what I'd do with myself if I went there, but I like something about it. Okay. Um. What's the next state?
We're gonna get a lot real repetitive when we get to these small New England states,
No,
but
man. Maybe no. They're all pretty different, actually. It's weird.
that's true. Well, then we'll try one of the adjacent ones here, Delaware, the first
Oh,
state.
okay. This is an F. Delaware is an F. It
Oh,
has it's like a boring it's like boring suburbs and then just like crackhead urban sprawl. When you never.
nothing, no love for Wilmington.
Nah, I just I mean, hey, it might have its moments, but that's one speck in all of Delaware, and it just doesn't make up for the fact that Delaware is pointless. Um, s- so
It,
we're
it does seem a little superfluous. Like why, just fold it into Maryland at this
yeah, I mean
point.
Maryland would probably give like a D or a C, but
Our
probably
nation's capital.
okay. I can't really some of these images I can't even see. They're like like zoomed in and blurry. I don't know why. But anyway, I'll just there's like five of them that I can't see, so I'll just throw it up there and we'll call it Delaware. Okay.
I want to
What's
I
next?
want to share my screen so that you can see my Google mappings
Okay.
uh, as I
Oh, that's way
use.
way more scientific than what I'm doing.
Okay, well,
I'm like
that's pretty here.
I'm literally just doing I literally just have the tier list browser window open.
Now you see, look, I can do all sorts of
Yeah, you're doing the full Google Earth,
manipulation.
dude. So you're gonna be the analyst, whereas I'm just sort of
Yeah,
gonna be the CEO that talks a lot.
yeah, you kind of yeah. This is more your musings, and I'm gonna
Yeah,
kind of direct.
you're gonna actually have like a book, like a dissertation ongoing for it, and I'm just gonna be like sort of winging it. Um, Anyway, what's the
So
next state?
you can see my screen.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Is
cool.
that Wilmington?
That's Baltimore.
Do you? Oh, yeah. Okay. Did you ever?
You know
Have
that?
you ever been to Delaware?
No.
Oh, okay.
Uh, Not that I know of. I might have driven through, but
Yeah,
you
well,
know,
yeah, yeah.
I drove from
It's an
Philly.
F. It's an F though. I can't
Yeah, it seems
countenance
like
giving it anything higher.
what is this? What is this doing?
I mean,
You know, it's
who would I
like
be?
long.
What kind
It's
of
less than
integrity
one.
would I have to give Delaware anything more than an F? You know, it's
Yeah.
like, I mean, okay. Anyway, what's next?
Well, we were sort of segueing into Maryland, so I guess while we're here, we're looking at it right now.
Oh, Maryland. Okay, yeah, I'll give Maryland a
Got two major cities.
That's another one I don't have the image for, so I'm just gonna throw up a random image and call it that. Gosh, must be all the smaller states that I don't have images for them.
Are you looking at my screen? It's right here.
Yeah, but I can't. I can't screen share yours. I'm not. I'm just recording the podcast of the tier list. So, but I'll look at your screen. Maryland is a state that has an interesting city, very with a lot of history. It's sort of quirky. It's Baltimore. They have interest. They have some
Yeah.
pretty good sports teams, despite being right next to DC and Philly, and not being the most prominent city in that region. It's got a lot of character. They have obviously Fort McHenry's there. They have a famous crab claws that you get at the wharf or whatever. It's a fun sort of quirky state. A lot of great artists have come out of Maryland. Frank Zappa grew up there. John Waters is from there.
Hmm.
Very eccentric artists that are sort of iconic have come out of Maryland. It's an interesting place. I think it's a very small state, and that counts against it.
Mhm.
Because it's not in New England. I think that there's sort of a lack of identity with Maryland. So I'm going to give it a C because I think that it has good qualities, but I don't think it has it's like I think it's sort of an average, just like it has this average vibe to it, like kind of good, but kind of like a kind of boring, kind of what's going on. It's sort of you know it's like I'll give it a C plus as a state. It's a small
Okay.
state and it's overshadowed by DC the only thing I really do appreciate about it is that Bethesda Softworks is out of there in Rockville or Maryland, Rock, yeah, something like that. So and they make a lot of great games, video games. So that I appreciate. But that's like literally the only trivia I know about Maryland. They also have a town called Chevy Chase that I don't know if it was named after Chevy Chase or not, but it's literally
Oh,
called Chevy Chase. And I think my
okay.
parents had their wedding reception there because they got
Huh.
married in DC. So yeah, but I'll give it a C.
I'm flying around the city. It's got a lot of kind of cool architecture, a cool vibe to it. Uh, Baltimore, famously segregated, very racist city. Uh,
Okay. Yeah,
I
it
had
doesn't have the
yeah,
most
I had a
inspiring
friend from
history.
there. I had a friend from there at Valley Forge who was like, I mean, yeah, apparently it's a pretty tough town.
Yeah, it's got a lot of crime and a lot of poverty. It's not the most it's not really a
I mean, these,
destination
like
town.
these fronts, some like I don't know,
Anyway,
has kind of a has an appeal to me, but
it's
yeah,
an appealing town, but it's not a town that you'd want to hang out with. Edgar Allan Poe died there. He got drunk or something. He died. It's not. There's no romance to Baltimore at the end of the day. It's very it just kind of is what it is. It's sort of a quirky town that is worth a visit in my opinion. I'm probably going there
Mhm.
soon, actually, literally just to be a tourist. But I'm not too psyched about it or anything. Um, I mean, it's in the same league. Maryland right now is in the same league as Ohio and Nevada. So I would say that's kind of punching above its weight. I'm
Yeah,
actually thinking maybe
probably.
Maryland should be a D, and I'm gonna do just that. I'm demoting it to D.
All right.
Okay, what's
Well,
next?
Washington is not in Maryland technically. It's its own, uh, you know,
Washington is not
little.
on this tier list. However, Washington. So I don't think we should
Well,
rate it.
no, we shouldn't even rate it. Then it's just its own. It's just a city, and
Yeah,
cities
it's like
don't.
it's like an aircraft carrier. It's like
It's funny. Look in maps. I can't look at 3D of the National Mall or
that's
the surrounding area.
that's that hey, they got the
See that?
CIA to get rid of that. The CIA did
Really,
not
all over
stamp its
the city.
approval. Okay. But hey, let's focus on the criticisms here because we got to get through this list.
Yeah, yeah. All right, all right. Back to flyover country then. Um,
Oh, we got so many
let's.
states. You name anything.
Are we really gonna do all of them? Okay,
Yeah.
then let's go to fucking Wyoming.
Oh, okay. I've been to Wyoming, so this will be easy. Um,
Wind
Actually,
River Reservation from
Wyoming
that.
is really cool. Got really cool nature on in like certain parts of it, and then a lot of it is also just sort of boring and flat and arid. It's not too different from like eastern Montana or like parts of Utah or Oregon or Idaho. I think Wyoming is like a D. And the only reason it's not an F is because the nature is really good. But I've heard stories about Wyoming being um, like it having like really bad public education and like it's a very like Republican area that doesn't really libertarian vibes and stuff. I've heard that it's sort of like an extreme right kind of place. So I'm not gonna. I think the politics there are extreme enough that I would look against it. I would cast that as a negative. Um,
Not for everyone, perhaps.
yeah, not
I
for
mean, we should.
everyone, right? There's always gonna be the alt right, but I just think that extremism is never a really great thing. So I
Well, then we should give points against cities in on the West Coast for opposite extremism.
Yeah, we can and we will.
Okay.
But where's my Wyoming? Where is the thing in this? But I'm gonna give it a D because like the best national park I went to was in Wyoming. It was the Grand Tetons Mountains, and it was the cool. They had like goats running around and stuff on these giant mountains. It was the coolest national park, but it was kind of a one-off experience. In the town of
They got
Jackson.
Yellowstone's in there
Yeah,
up
and
in
I
the
also went
north.
to Yellowstone. Okay,
Yeah, so it's good for
okay, I totally
good.
blanked on Yellowstone, but I'm not going to give it a C because Yellowstone is sort of like it's like Washington D.C. Like it doesn't really exist as part of the state. It's like you go to a new
Correct.
dimension when you go to Yellowstone.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
Not.
where's the shit on the map? Do I just not have it?
I got it right here, man.
No, not on the map. No, I have to put it on the list, and I don't have the photo. Oh, here it is. Okay.
The
Okay, so
square.
so D for Wyoming. All right, what's the next? All right.
Okay. We're just gonna kind of seesaw between west and east to keep things interesting. Let's go with Michigan.
Okay, I've never been to Michigan. Um, I'll give it a. I'm gonna go ahead and say it's like a C because it's got a lot of towns, it's got a lot of nature, it's got a lot of water, but then it's also got a lot. It's got like a ruined automotive, and it's got like a really like past its prime automotive industry there, and
Well, this would have been an A state a
back
couple
in the day.
decades,
Yeah, it would have been
right?
an A state, but now it's a C state because of all the poverty in the cities and all the sort of lack of industry that we would expect from like a formerly prosperous state. So
Yeah, you see what I'm looking at on the map, you can really tell like the massive development. I mean, this like do you see these striations, like these grid lines
Yeah, but no
in
one
the
on the
south
no one
there?
watching the podcast can see that.
Oh, you're not recording my screen.
I can't. Well, I can a little bit. Okay, let me. Okay, I'll start doing that. Okay.
If there's gonna be a visual aspect, I think I'm doing a good job because I'm kind of scanning over all these states as we're talking about them.
Yes. Let me do display capture. Oh no, sorry, not. And then I'll just click on this. All right. Yeah, it's got a lot of
So
waters and stuff. I think it's
the yeah, like
great.
down here, it's a suburb after
It's near,
suburb.
and
You
it's
know,
also really near
extensive suburb
Toronto.
down here in the south.
I think what it saves it from being like a D is that it's really near Toronto, and that's a great city to visit, or to just be around. So, and Chicago too. So I would say C, maybe B, but I'm gonna go with C because I think that if you'll get tired of having to drive to Chicago or Toronto, living in Michigan. Uh, it's more likely that you drive to Michigan to escape from Chicago than you would to hang out in Michigan and just drive all to all these cities around it. So yeah,
Yeah,
C. I mean, it's really flat
that's
too.
a tough one.
I have a cousin who has a family there, and he likes it and all, but it's kind of a one trick pony as the state goes. It's got a lot of trees, a lot of water, a lot of crime. You know, that's kind of all you need to
Sure.
say. Yeah,
Yeah, it does look a bit one note.
yeah, and also the snow wouldn't be fun because there's no mountains, and yeah, it's just yeah.
Right, right.
I mean, in the winter it's probably like an F, but
All right. Well, let's warm ourselves up a little bit
okay.
down in New Mexico.
New Mexico.
Yes, New Mexico. The I don't know their moniker. Find out.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and tell you that New Mexico is not gonna be super high on my list.
No,
Even
I
but
don't think
you've
so.
been there though. You haven't you been there?
Yeah,
You just I'm
I don't
gonna
mind it. I like the Southwest.
was did you could you is how was it compared to Arizona? Because that's really what I'm wondering. With
I think Arizona is a little better.
okay, okay, so maybe we'll give New Mexico a D.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got some pretty incredible nature, but you wouldn't necessarily know what it was jumping out of the airport. And then you also the cities are like not really that not worth going to. Let's be honest.
No, I mean
S-
cool
s-
natural beauty with the deserts there. I mean,
Interesting food. Probably some of the best food in the
good
country.
food, very
Um,
good food.
uh,
If you know where to go.
okay, because of the food, and
No,
you think
I think
D? Oh, okay,
D is still, yeah. No,
okay.
come on, let's not be crazy. It's still a D state, but you know the food is Mexico's uh, fault, not New Mexico's.
Yeah, and
Uh,
I guess
Arizona,
Michigan.
we can
But
give a good.
do you think it's higher than Michigan, or lower than Michigan?
I think I'd rather live in New Mexico than Michigan.
So we should lower Michigan and raise New Mexico.
Well, okay, we'll give New Mexico like a C minus and
Okay.
Michigan a D plus.
Okay. Well, the thing with
We already had
Michigan is,
Michigan. We had Michigan at a C, didn't we?
yeah.
So that okay, C for Michigan, C plus for New Mexico.
Okay, yeah, C minus for Michigan. The one thing I will like about Michigan is that it's got all that punk rock history there in Detroit and stuff. So like you can kind of feel the vibe still a little
Yeah,
bit.
I mean the Motor City is like a cultural, you know, icon. I mean,
Yeah, and it's also Motown and stuff. So, but like, so there's definitely
that
reasons to. There's
yeah,
stuff to do
Motown
in Michigan.
Motor
There's
City.
the culture there. There's a legit culture there, kind of. It maybe not as
Right.
intact as it used to be, but it's still
Yeah,
sort of.
it seems
Yeah,
like a little bit of a, party for the past when they talk about that stuff. But
exactly.
uh,
So okay, it's in the same league as New Mexico. I like that. What's next?
let's talk about. Let's get down south, dirty South, Alabama.
Okay, I went to Mobile on the Greyhound, which just sounds cool. By the way, just saying that. But and actually Mobile was really clean, and I was surprised. I thought Mobile was going to be like a fucking water park or something, like just like got trash everywhere. I just like Alabama. It's probably Alabama's going to be like gunked up like nothing else. But
Really small town, the Mobile. Not big at all. I'm looking at it right now. Real tiny.
yeah, but
Really spread out, but nothing. For a capital.
that's not the capital of Alabama. A capital of
Not,
Alabama is like Montgomery or something.
oh yeah, that's right. That's right.
Birmingham. I think
But
Birmingham is
for a
near the.
town that you hear about all the time, Mobile, like
That's because that's the
it's
party. That's like their version of New Orleans. It's their version of New Orleans, but it's obviously just like doesn't compare at all.
it looks pretty backward. It looks like a real kind of
Really,
slum
maybe I'm
town.
maybe I'm off
Are
base.
you seeing what I'm seeing? Look at
Yeah,
my
no, I
screen.
just saw that. Maybe I'm like super off base. I thought Mobile was a fun town, or at least trying to be. I mean, jeez.
It might
Uh,
be very fun. I mean, I think
yeah, they
the
have like
people have a lot
cruises
to
and
do with
they have
that.
like
But
Gulf
look at how
cruises
much
and stuff.
it goes to suburbs like right away.
Okay, Mobile was the first French capital of Louisiana. It was like New Orleans. It was actually the first capital of Louisiana that was French. So it's kind of
Mm.
this weird. It does have that Creole sort of history, but yeah, I don't know. It doesn't change the fact that it's Alabama, right? So
Yeah, Alabama's already a tough sell. So like you got to
it's got
be
great sports
clean and dirty.
teams, and it's got a lot of interesting sort of like people. But I'm gonna go and
Looking a
go.
little river delta moving up here.
I'm gonna go and say Alabama is a D. But then again,
Yeah,
I liked walking around Mobile, so maybe it's a C. I don't know.
I'm going D, but your personal experience it weighs heavy. Birmingham, there's
I'm
Birmingham
gonna
up
go
here.
C. I think it's underrated because it's a little like Pennsylvania. Like people don't really go there, so they don't know what it's like.
Might be.
So I think it's a little bit of a hidden gem. Because if you think about what is actually what about it besides its reputation is like, would you not like? I mean, like just walking around town and stuff. Like there's probably nothing wrong with it. It doesn't seem like it's the most crime ridden
Right, as
place.
a white guy.
Yeah, but there's a lot of black people there too. I mean, I don't know.
No, no, absolutely. I mean, yeah, big time. Uh, yeah, maybe this one we just don't know that much enough to say for sure. So, C minus
I'll go
or
C minus. Yeah, C minus.
would be
Okay, D
probably
plus. D
yeah.
plus.
Okay. That's better. Um, Alabama.
Okay, next one.
Next one. Um, let's go to the Carolinas. Let's do North Carolina first.
Okay. Oh yeah, I like North Carolina.
Raleigh, I do too.
I'll give. I'm gonna say North Carolina is an A.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. I would say B just for the climate. It's really muggy. It's
No, but
very much south.
no, but if you go to Asheville, it's like it's totally not muggy. Or you have to factor in the
If you
winters.
get up, yeah, but that's if you get up in the mountains there.
Yeah,
But
but no, even in the town of Asheville itself is like elevated enough that it's not too humid, and it's
no,
also
I mean, yeah, but the town of Asheville itself is high up. It's upper. It's in upper elevation.
yeah, but that's
If
but
you
yeah, I know,
look,
but North Carolina has like a ton of different towns, right? Like it's got,
of course.
it's got Charlotte and Raleigh, And
Only a handful, like only the very far western part is elevated. Most of it is
yeah,
kind of floodplain.
but the reason I'm
And
giving it an A is because I think it has a diversity to it. I think it has some culture to it. I think it's unpretentious, which is important, and
yeah,
I think it's affordable too. So I can't really. There's nothing I can about it that's screams erroneous. There's no erroneous quality to it. It's just screaming at me. So I have to go with A.
I see your point. That's a good. Those are good reasons. And I can't really offer anything else up to like to negate that. So
I mean, it's got ocean. It's got like every. It's just very diverse geographically. Uh,
yeah,
yeah,
it's a good state. Let's give her an A.
cool. All right, next one.
All right. Try and find something else. Let's do Idaho.
Ooh, I live there. Okay, I can. That'd be fun. Idaho is not that high up because the Panhandle is basically like Washington State or Montana. A little. It's it's kind of like rednecks that don't have accents kind of vibe. Like they have the politics of rednecks, the lifestyles of rednecks, but they don't have the drawl. Um, they're
Bad characteristics without
nice.
the fun. The
It,
fun
yeah, well,
things.
yeah, it's less cartoonish, but it's just as insidious. Uh, I think the nature there is pretty good. I mean, it's really like raw forest. It's a little bit like kind of like a medieval, like Coeur d'Alene and these towns out there, like Middle
People who
Ages
like
throwback.
and
It's very white too, but it's like too white. It's like
yeah, and not like the good white like either. It's
a
just
lot
kind
of
of like
Mormons in the south part, Mennonites and stuff. Yeah, it's like really off-brand Pennsylvania or something.
right.
So, but it's also a lot colder too. Or the mountains kind of compensate for that a little bit. I'll give it a C because
Okay. Yeah,
it's got
sounds like
really
a
good
D.
nature, and the people I know for a fact that people are friendly. No,
Okay.
I'll give it a C.
Yeah, it sounded like it was headed for a D, but just enough to make a C,
The
perhaps.
reason it's not a D is because, and you'll notice a trend here is that it's got diverse landscape, uh, whereas some of these like a lot of the D states do not.
Right. Yeah, that's sort of the bit of a clinching quality. Okay. C for Idaho. All right. Let's go back over and look at one that I saw a doc on today, Vermont, a state I am a fan of.
I've never been to Vermont. I've always wanted to go. It's so far from New York. It's like 7 hours drive.
Yeah, it's up there. A lot of cool history in Vermont. Well, maybe not cool history, but it's been around for a long time. Always kind of in the background. Uh, Great, like growing territory. Lots of farms, very like independent, libertarian, uh, but also kind of progressive. Like it's got like this kind of Austrian bent.
Yeah, yeah.
This is where the Von Trapp family moved up here and created the first ski lodge
That's
in
wild.
New England.
Wow. Okay.
Uh, and yeah, I mean, beautiful country. They like kind of like the lakes in the west like form. It's like glacier torn, so they form literal like fjords, like you'd see in Norway. Uh, so a lot of really small villages, just like one church towns. Supposedly like the best place to visit in the fall. Everything goes amazingly orange and like rainbow and cool. So for natural beauty, this one is for like verdant, for green. The reason it's called Vermont is that after the French, Vermont,
Yeah.
green, green mountain.
Yeah, Green Mountain.
Like
Okay. Yeah. That's cool. Yeah. I know there's Green Mountain colleges there. I have buddy went there. It's kind of a liberal arts college. I was considering going there for college because I
It's
thought it'd be.
progressive. It's like represents sort of like the kind of the Scandinavian like ideal of it's like, well, we can have a welfare state. We can be really progressive, really accepting, as long as everybody's sort of like doing what we're doing and like, they're sheep farming like us and whatnot, like
Yeah, yeah.
uh,
I feel like
so I give it an A
you give it an
personally.
A. You've been there again.
I haven't actually, no.
Okay, we can't. I feel like we shouldn't give A's to places we haven't been to. But you might be right. I don't know.
I guess B then if we have to.
I give it a B myself because I think it's got
I don't know it's a drawback.
it's
I
cool
mean,
on paper, but I don't know if it would be cool in real life immediately. So I think the drawback for me about Vermont is that it's really really small, but I can't factor that in too much because that's just how it is. And then the other thing is that it's just sort of irrelevant. I don't know, like it's irrelevant, but it has a lot of opinions, which is not a good combination usually. But maybe in this case it is. So I'm willing to concede that it's probably worth at least a B.
I mean, if you were to live there, like you'd be.
I guess if I lived there, it'd be different. I don't know because I could go up to Canada and stuff, and I could be in New York State and stuff. So yeah, I guess.
Yeah, but I guess we can leave it as our highest rating without personal experience.
Yeah, I didn't want to give Colorado too much either because I don't have that much experience in Colorado. So I give both Colorado and Vermont a B.
All right, fair enough. Okay, that's done. Um, how about Kentucky?
You know what? I'm gonna give Nevada. I'm actually gonna upgrade Nevada to a B.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Nevada's good. I mean, you're letting Vegas and Reno carry a lot of it then because there's not much else. That's pretty high
Yeah, but
for
you wouldn't go
for
anywhere else
state
anyway,
health.
so it kind of works, Yeah, but maybe not. I mean, like, yeah, you have a point though. Like the, but like I think Vegas is just like this gem of a town because it's so unique and so powerful. So I think it really does like punch above its weight and make it
Yeah.
yeah.
All right.
It's the only state I think that does that. Not a lot of states have a city that really like upgrades it.
Probably. Except maybe Los Angeles
Yeah, it's like
is up.
downgrades it a
But
little bit.
New York and
uh,
Los Angeles
yeah.
are kind of states unto their own. But we'll get to that.
Yes. Okay.
Uh,
What's the next one?
I don't know. Let's do a throwaway like South Dakota.
Okay.
Sorry, South
Okay. It's
Dakota.
better than North Dakota, so I'm gonna give it a.
Damn, all right. Well, that makes sense.
I mean, but because the weather's so bad, I don't know. Just because it's just hard. I've never been to either. I'm gonna give South Dakota a D, a C. I'm gonna give
I
North
think they have
Dakota
the
an
highest
F.
amount of reservation land.
North
Or
Co-
no, that might be. I think that's New
North
Mexico.
Dakota is a hard F, and South Dakota is a
Yeah, we'll just do them at
D.
once.
It's like Wyoming. There's a lot of little tourist things you can do, but the state itself is terrible. Like there's like General Custer's Last Stand, that little big whatever it is, Little Horn or whatever.
Yeah, if you're not like living there and have a business, like there, you have no reason. You have no point in being there at all.
Yeah, I mean it has Mount Rushmore and it has like the Custer's Big Horn failure disaster fiasco, but it has some interesting national parks like Badlands. So that's cool, but that's not that different from Wyoming. So I'm just gonna say it's like in the same exact bracket as Wyoming. Very, very, almost the same kind of state, really. I mean, you may as
Yeah.
well they might as well be interchangeable and like equivalent in all regards. Okay, what's the next one?
Next one, Washington.
Oh yeah, I give that a. I think when I did this before, I gave it a C, because I thought the state itself was sort of, you're unlikely to go out into like the trenches and do shit. It's like a little it's a little bit like this Alaska thing. Like you think you're gonna go there and see all this nature, but then you're actually realistically you're not gonna drive around that much. Um,
Mhm.
to me, it's a little bit like the New Mexico of the Northwest. Like it sounds cool, but then like you go there, you really have to kind of work to get into the good nature. But so
But it is there,
they do have a good city there. Seattle's like a
and people do go there. People do go to the nature. You just didn't,
I have been to nature there
right?
because but
But
I don't think it was it's just it's a bigger state than you think. It's like Oregon. Like you think Oregon is like everyone's gonna go out to the eastern part of Washington and Oregon are dry. And like okay for and a lot of the towns in Washington are like really like fucked up. Like Seattle's great, but like there's towns like Olympia that are like
yeah, and yeah,
are in bad
they're
shape.
SWAT.
Like Tacoma,
Oh yeah,
Olympia, and what's the town Kurt Cobain was born in? They're all like not doing good. So the economy is not great unless you're in Seattle. It's like this weird thing. And Spokane's also a decent economy. Um, I can't give it more than a C. I mean, unless you're really a nature buff, like dedicated,
right.
you're not gonna. It's not like Colorado where you just drive up the fucking highway and you're in the mountains. You have to go into like you have to backpack to get to the specific ranges and stuff. It's a little bit of a bitch. So,
Hmm.
yeah.
I can't imagine they're doing that great off of like shipping. Seeing as where they are, there's not like a lot of places inland that like things need to get to. There's no other major city for quite a while.
It feels to me it's like a nature oriented version of Ohio. Like it sort of has nature everywhere, but it's not really like it's not the most iconic nature. And it's like in Ohio, it's got like cities everywhere, but none of them are the most iconic cities. So it's sort of like this blasé nature state, and Ohio is sort of this blasé urban state.
Yeah. All right. Well, I can work with C. I would probably agree with that.
Okay, yeah, I mean, yeah. I could definitely, if someone said B, I wouldn't disagree, but I just C is where I stand right now. Okay, what's next?
Uh, next, Florida.
Ooh, I'm gonna give that. I'm not definitely not gonna give it an A. You can't give Florida an A. It's just physically
Right.
impossible. Uh,
But
there's many.
B wouldn't trouble me at all. I think that's you
That is
can't
sort of
really
the.
deny Florida.
You don't think it's the def. You don't think it's like the def. It's like the epitome of a C state.
No, I think you can't deny Florida. Like I think it's as much as we might like disagree with what and why it is. It still is. Like if we were to look at economies, I think Florida must be pretty high, right? I mean,
Yeah, it's got a really good economy. The only thing is that it's super super flat. That's the weather's always the same. There's a lot of drugs. There's a lot of
well,
crime.
we also still haven't like made any sort of criteria of how we're judging. Like what uh
I mean,
in our mind
the
is
beaches
the
are great.
matter
Like,
are the qualifying factors
well,
to be good or bad. Like
yeah, well,
it's all
I think diversity in the landscape is pretty important. I think having a good economy is pretty important. I think having uh, cultural vibrancy is or diversity even is important. But I don't think diverse landscape is gonna matter more maybe than cultural like diversity would. but I also think that crime can tear down any place. Like no matter what else it has, if there's crime, it can fuck it up. To.
Well, all right. So you've lived in Florida. I haven't been. So,
Florida
and tell,
is very consumerist. It's if you don't have like a middle class lifestyle, you're not going to have a ton of fun unless you're just going to do any kind of drug you want to do, um, and which I wouldn't recommend. I think Florida, Orlando is like the worst city in the country almost. Miami is like interesting, but it's not great. Tampa, I hear a lot of interesting things about Tampa, so that might be the best city in Florida. In Jacksonville, I also hear is not too bad. So I'll give it a what you know what I'll give it a B because there's just a lot to do in Florida. That's the one thing
I
that
mean, that's a lot of big cities.
yeah,
That's
there's a
five
lot to do there, and you can't
big
deny
cities.
it. Yeah, you can't deny that. So it's like
Yeah.
Colorado. It's like the Colorado of the tropics or whatever it is. It's the it's
Hard to say. Yeah, it's hard. Like I can find it hard to compare to
well it's
anywhere
got
else.
really distinct nature, and there's a lot of drugs. I think it's like Colorado kind of, and it's sort of like it's like a somewhat populated state, but it's also like I mean it's not comparable to any. It's very unique.
Like twice. It's like twice. If
Yeah,
Colorado was twice as much as it is, and
yeah,
then tropical,
but it's
that
got.
would
I
be.
think there's a similar sort of laissez-faire kind of attitude that in Florida and in Colorado. I think they have a similar vibe actually. They're sort of like it's like snowbirds. They come down. Um, it's just one of those things. Like, yeah, I don't know. I think if you like Florida, you'd like
Yeah.
Colorado, and vice versa. So
All right. There's Colorado. Um, did we do South Carolina
no,
with North Carolina? Because we did North and South Dakota together. So let's finish off with South. Finish off the Carolinas then. South Carolina. I have been there and I greatly enjoyed it, but I was also uh you know escorting the like Miss fucking College South Carolina pageant as one of the drill team for from Valley Forge, so that might have colored my experience. No pun intended for the Confederate state of
all right.
South Carolina, who was the
South
first
Carolina
to.
is a D state because South Carolina is really, really, really poor, and it's got quirky things to do for fun.
They were the weren't they the first state to secede from the Union?
That might be true. Yeah, I can't. I've been to Charleston, which is like supposedly the nicest city, and it was like not amazing. So I just can't give it anything more than a D.
Yeah,
Um,
see, I had a limited, but
Plus,
yeah.
I've
So
also
I
been to
mean,
Spartanburg.
but
My
like
mom grew up
also
in
I was
Spartanburg.
experiencing like high like what's left of whatever like southern, like almost antebellum culture there is left. Like it's there. Like they were dressed full on like so like it was very
That's
like
interesting, but that is not going to make me give it more than a D, unfortunately.
okay. I thought it was pretty cool. I mean, at the time, but
I
I
mean,
don't know if I
are you
how much I
saying?
liked that either.
Yeah, I think.
It might be
Okay, what
D.
I'll tell you
I
what
don't
I'll
know,
do.
dude. A lot
I'll
of
tell you what
history
I'll
though.
do.
A
I'll
lot
tell
of
you what I do.
history.
I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll move it to C, and then I'll move Florida to C also. And I'll
Down from B. Okay.
yeah, because Florida it the weather fucking fucks your skin up. And
That might just be us pasties.
all right, I'll keep it at B because it's at least has distinction. It's a unique state. Um,
Yeah, that's kind
and
of what I'm.
what's the other ones?
It's fucking
If
sinking
we're gonna
though.
shift anything around, I want to do it now. Washington. I think I'm gonna move Washington up to B.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. All right. What's next?
Okay. Zooming out. Dun, 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 dun. Next is Utah.
Okay. I've actually never been to Utah. Um, I hear actually there's a lot of interest. It's a lot of sort of not charm, but there's a lot of appeal to living in Salt Lake City because you have year-round skiing. It's very economical, and it's also like there's not a lot of crime, so there's a lot of appeal to like live and work in Utah. So I
Yeah, I'm thinking like C plus, B minus territory.
oh,
Either one of those.
I actually have. You know what's crazy? I actually have been to Utah, and I did an outward bound trip there where I was doing rafting for like 2 weeks. So I actually was like very intimately involved in the landscape of Utah, and depending on how you
Nice.
do it, I'm gonna give Utah a B. It's a B state. It's extremely beautiful. It's more beautiful than Arizona. Uh, and Arizona I think is like a kind of a B.
Damn.
Yeah.
It literally bridged all the way across the Salt Lake. Look at that.
When did they do that?
I don't know, but there it is. There's a levee. See?
Whoa.
It's even like different colors on. Yeah, right across there. Is it a state boundary? No. Yeah, no, I've heard a lot of good things about Salt Lake City. Uh, I don't think it's enough to carry it to a B. Personally, I think there's still a lot of other rest of the state. I mean, Moab, like kind of everywhere in the
No,
state is
you have to go to the
awesome looking.
nature though. The nature is so good in Utah that's what makes it a B.
Yeah, look at where it is. Like when you see the topography, kind of got all the good. Well, all right, Arizona would be my argument for
No, because
almost as.
no, the reason is you don't really go into the Grand Canyon as much as you do the canyons in Utah. So Grand Canyon is like lazier and less cool, less adventurous. I guess you can go into the Grand Canyon, but I'm not. I don't know. I wouldn't. I don't know. I don't think that's the same thing. I don't. I'm not convinced it's the same thing.
They're both pretty comparable. Like from national forest.
Arizona is more of like you go to like a restaurant and like you look outside the window of the restaurant and then you go for like a short hike by the cactus and then it's not like
I think you can totally go far in if just like Utah, you can go in as much as you want.
but
Like
Utah
it's
has no the national Utah has like way more national parks than Arizona. Utah has like five
I'm
national
kind of
parks or
let me see
something.
1, 2, 3.
I think Arizona has like two national parks. Grand Canyon and Saguaro. And I went to Saguaro, and Saguaro wasn't all that, dude. Saguaro was like okay. The national parks in Utah are really, really good. And there's nothing else like it on the continent. It's not like even Colorado. It like looks sort of like typical, like and like replaceable. Like the mountains, or you can get this Sierra. There's mountains everywhere, right? Who cares about mountains? But the nature on Utah is like Martian landscape. It's really inimitable. And then, I mean, but like California and Colorado have the same fucking mountains almost. So it's like,
Well,
but Utah is
Arizona is bigger, so it does have more national forests and national parks.
no, not national forests. Because national
Uh,
forests don't necessarily mean the nature is impressive.
okay, well then they both have two.
No. I know for a fact that Utah has like several national parks. Okay, it has Zion, Arches, Bryce Canyon, Canyonlands, Capitol Reef.
Those are
Five.
all considered national parks,
Five
not
national parks.
recreation areas or anything.
I've literally considered getting married in Utah because I know how beautiful it is. Because I went there, it's really like, and Arizona
Yes.
national. Let's look up Arizona national parks. Okay, it's got three: Petrified Forest, which I haven't been to; Saguaro, which I thought was underwhelming; and Grand Canyon, which is like it's like you're in a movie theater. You just like sit at the fucking thing and like look at it. So I don't know. What does that mean?
No, I don't know. I mean, what are you gonna say? It's not like still awesome.
I give Utah. Well, when I at Arizona, yeah, we're still at Utah, so I'm gonna give Utah a B.
Okay, well, we might as well
Let's go to
just
Arizona.
do
Let's go to
better than
Arizona.
now.
I
Where are
give
we?
Arizona. I give Arizona a B because Arizona has really good consumer options and nightlife and sort of just like quirky, fun shopping things sprees you can go on, and definitely has like golf course, a lot more golf courses, and just it's way more adventurous for like if you have money than Utah is. Utah is more of like
Mhm.
it's just like an insanely beautiful place, but Arizona is like it's like actually like is like a paradise of its own. It's just totally
Yeah,
different
it's the
mentality.
biggest city, like anywhere near between Vegas and Albuquerque. Like it's this like oasis that's and
Hey, I love Scottsdale. Yeah, I mean, and
that and don't
Phoenix
live
has got
further, but
some good. I was driving around there
Phoenix.
last Christmas.
I mean, Phoenix is huge.
It's really fun to drive around Scottsdale because the nature is really cool, even if you're just driving. I don't know, and the weather in the winter is like perfect. It's like very good weather. Uh, but yeah, I mean, Arizona's got its issues. It gets really hot in the summer, and you don't want that. And there's not a lot of water there, and
Oh yeah,
it's
no, it shouldn't exist.
Phoenix is kind of like 2 hours, is like in the middle. It's not the best located city, to be honest with you, because LA
No, not
is like
at
five
all.
hour drive. Vegas is 5 hours. It's kind of far. Uh, Albuquerque is like 7, 8 or something. Um, and then Tucson is like a 2 hour drive south, and Sedona or Flagstaff, which are in the same vicinity, they're about a 2 hour drive also north. But both Sedona, Flagstaff, and also the metropolitan area of Tucson, they're kind of they're not there's something missing about them. When I went to those places, I always felt like there was something missing. Whereas Phoenix sort of feels like it has it all. Those two don't come anywhere close to feeling like they have it all.
Got it. All right. So B for Utah and Arizona, and
Yeah, I
I
mean,
think
Utah and Arizona are similar in that they're not yeah, yeah, exactly, yeah.
yeah, deserving for different reasons.
All right, okay,
Um,
okay, how about okay, yeah, your turn. Yeah, sorry.
no, you're good. We'll do Mississippi.
I went through there on the bus, the Greyhound. I never got set foot in Mississippi.
Yeah,
I'm just
nor
gonna
have I.
assume
It is
that
not.
it's.
I have looked at other rankings of states like on Reddit and shit before. Mississippi has come in last
I'll give it an
numerous.
F. I'll give it an F.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
I
that's.
don't have the energy to rationalize anything higher right now.
I mean, look at it. It's pretty much in the worst place you could imagine.
I know there's some nice towns there, but like there's nice towns in every state. Like big fucking deal. Yeah. Like,
Yeah, and the people there are like Neanderthal dumb. I mean,
you probably. Yeah, probably. Well, I don't know. Maybe not. But I mean, I'm sure
and
that.
also by the way, Neanderthals weren't even that dumb, but it's still the same. So, uh, it's yeah. Apparently, it's backwards as fuck. So for that reason, and for the fact that it looks uncomfortable, and there's nothing there that's in any way appealing. That's an F. It's an F for me, dog. All right. What else? Wisconsin.
Um,
Cheese. That's what Wisconsin's known for. Scandinavian type people up there. Very.
Wisconsin. I went. I did a jazz. I did a jazz clinic in Wisconsin. I think Wisconsin. I drove through it a
Got
bit.
some culture for being that far north and like kind of being
It's a
semi-Canadian.
D though. Honestly, it's a D state.
Yeah, that's all right, I guess. I mean,
It's just there's nothing really. There's nothing really important there, and it's not. I don't know. I mean,
like,
it has a little bit of a vibe, but like, who cares? I mean, that's all it has. You know, it's like, come on. I'll give it a D state.
all right, I won't argue with that. Uh, what about its neighbor, Minnesota? You think that's a D state as well?
No, Minnesota's a C state because Minnesota
Yeah,
has. Yeah.
that's what I thought. A little bit more. Although I don't know, they're pretty comparable, dude. Like
Minnesota
Minnesota,
though has the Mall of America. It's got 10,000 lakes, and it's all around. It's just got more attitude than Wisconsin.
Wisconsin has a fuck ton of lakes too. It's,
Sure, it does,
it's
but it doesn't have the Mall of America, and it doesn't have Bob Dylan
how much does that really
or
matter? The Mall of
Prince.
America. Do you think that's really like pulling?
Minneapolis and St. Paul, the Twin Cities, are like artistic hubs in the country, and like there's no hub like that in Wisconsin. I mean, Milwaukee might be like low key cool, kind of.
Milwaukee's got to have something. It's you don't think they? And yeah, it's not Twin Cities, but it's I don't know. Yeah, I don't.
I associate
Maybe
Milwaukee with
so.
sort of like the past. It's like very. I feel like it's like a nostalgic. It's a little bit like Detroit or something like. Sort of.
It's also really close to Chicago.
Yeah, but who cares about Chicago? I mean, come on.
I think a lot of people.
Yeah, but like, is that gonna make me? I mean,
Oh,
You're in
Minnesota. Okay,
Milwaukee. Like,
it's a C. Let's make Minnesota C minus and Wisconsin D plus.
exactly. Yeah, sure, sure.
Or Minnesota can be a C. Just at least
Minnesota is just got is
maybe
got
Wisconsin C minus then.
Minnesota is just got like a style to it that Wisconsin doesn't. And that's why I like Minnesota. Wisconsin, I mean, maybe
Fine, fine.
Wisconsin is like, I don't know, maybe Wisconsin's got something. Okay, I'll give them both C. I'll give them both C.
All the guys from fucking Mystery Science Theater are from Wisconsin.
I'll give them both
So
C's. Yeah, I actually changed my mind. Wisconsin does have this. It has a veneer of politeness. It's very sort of,
yeah, there's a
yeah.
funny. There's something. I think there is.
Okay,
Okay.
next state.
Hmm. Yeah, and another. We got to jot just to cross these off the list. Arkansas. F.
Arkansas. Yeah,
Can't be
I
more than
haven't
D.
been there. I haven't been there.
Can't be more than D.
I'll just go with D because there's something I feel like it's got tricks up its sleeve. You know what I mean? Just looking at it, I'm like there's something to it that I don't. It's mysterious, but there's definitely something to it. So it can't be F.
I don't know what you're seeing, but okay. Uh,
It's you know what it is it's the most protected region in the country in the event of like a natural disaster. You're less. It's like the hardest place to get fucked up with by a natural disaster or like some kind of.
I'm pretty sure they have fucking tornadoes through that place.
No, I think that no, they have Ozarks and shit. So they, you know, so they have mountains and stuff.
Well, up in the north, yeah, but look at look at my screen. You can see topography. That's only like in this area. Half of a bunch of it is like floodplains and flatlands right here. So they're vulnerable to like flash floods and tornadoes, I think. And it's fucking Arkansas, Little Rock, Arkansas. Like I don't know. There's nothing. If there's something good here, they're hiding it very well.
I just think that it's like the stone unturned. You know, that's all.
Okay. Well, we neither of us have been there, so we have
For
really
me,
no
for
idea.
me,
But
like a place that is just super like unknown, and yet is like very like established is appealing. Maybe that's a matter of just.
not very established. Look at Little Rock. Look at it.
Well, it's established. It's been there for a while. I mean, I guess.
Tiny. This is a provincial fucking. This wouldn't be, this would be a footnote in most other states. It's their big town. That's why I think it's an F state. There's nothing. It's bordering with Oklahoma. Come on. All right. Are we moving on? Are you sticking with D?
Okay, we can. I just really want to
We
visit.
need more F states anyway. Like we're giving too many D's and C's out. We need to commit. And Arkansas is one.
Yeah, I mean it's quaint. It's definitely quaint, but like I don't know.
All right. You could say that about any of our F
Yeah,
states.
okay. I'll give it an F.
Yeah.
Give it an F. It's just
Thank you.
it's between
That is
worlds.
one place where I will insist. Mustard. That is
Okay.
not. That's a bad one. All right. Connecticut.
Connecticut. Let me think. Let me think of Connecticut. That is
Close to you.
not a good state. That's not a good state. I'm gonna go with D for Connecticut. I've never heard
What?
anything good
Yeah.
about it. I've heard bad things. I've never heard anything good. It seems to be below average. It's tiny. Connecticut's a D.
New Haven.
My friend Phil was from there, and he was talking about just how boring it was. And I'm like, yep. And then I just like it's so boring, and it's also they have Yale's there, but Yale is in like it's like in the ghetto, and the town of New Haven is like gone to shit apparently. But Yale itself is like really nice.
It's a pretty, developed state that like that whole this whole like
It's just it's
delta
all suburbs, dude. It's all like wacky.
it is all suburbs, yeah.
It's all
The Connecticut River.
generic suburbs. I mean
Yeah. It looks a bit
you're getting in like
yeah,
Massachusetts,
white red.
right? Yeah, that's the Long Island. Okay.
Yeah, right here.
Yeah, it's similar to Long Island, kind of. It's like a far more quaint version of Long Island.
Yeah, you should look at what I'm my stream here so we can like be on the same page.
I am looking
We
at
can
your
link
stream.
same spots.
I am looking at your stream.
Okay.
Hartford. Yeah, I heard Greenwich is the nice one. I'm actually might take a train out there soon to Greenwich. I remember passing it by on the bus, and it seemed kind of nice, but it's like it wasn't nice enough for me to be like, "Oh, Connecticut's a great state." I mean, it was just sort of like, it's
It seems like it might have enough at least like to make it on average good. Like, with how many like kind of mini cities there are on this river.
Okay, yeah, it's probably not a D. I'll give it a C. I'll give it a C.
Cool old school infrastructure that's just sitting and rusting and rotting in the river. All right. Well, they share a border with
Okay,
Massachusetts.
we'll go to the Massachusetts now.
The big swinging dicks of
Yeah,
the
Massachusetts.
the East Coast. Look at that
Massachusetts is really
hook
small.
dick right there. It's small, but boy, do they use it. See, New York has a bigger dick over here with Long Island. See Long Island. See it from this.
Yeah,
Looks
that's where I
exactly like
live. I live on Long Island. Yeah.
an and Staten Island is the balls. See, you can
Very
just
micro balls. Okay.
see it right there.
The micro balls of Staten Island. Testicular Staten Island. Okay.
Oh wait, yeah, and maybe not the whole. More like fucking East Philly there, or Pennsylvania. So Mass, Boston, and the rest.
Okay, let me say one thing. I think Boston's nice. Boston itself is like a B or an A, but all Massachusetts, it's probably nice too. So I'd give it a B or an A, but I don't know about A because when I was there, I felt like something was missing. There's a certain like there's a certain lack of freedom or something. Like I didn't feel like it's just like a confined space. I didn't feel like I could like hang like let loose. I felt very cagey being there. So I guess I'll give it a B or a C, but it's definitely not a C. So I'll give like a B. Yeah. The problem I have with it is that there's a lot of arrogance about it. Like it's basically only known for football nowadays, but like but whatever. I mean, it doesn't mean like it's not cool. It's just I don't think it's like the top of the top.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, B sounds good.
Okay.
Yeah, fucking
All right. What's next?
Irish ass. Let's do Georgia. Georgia. The whole night through.
Georgia. Okay, I'll give Georgia a C. No, I'll give it a D actually, because
D.
I'll give it a D.
D. Yeah.
D. It's a D. It's like Alabama. It's like, wow, this is the South, but there's a little bit of an economy. Cool. You
You're
know.
like, now I understand why the South has stereotypes.
It's a southern state, but it has a sense of humor. Um. So D.
It is funny. I'm not saying it's not enjoyable. You just kind of have to know what it is and like kind of lean into it and like watch your shit. Like don't get too ghetto. Like don't don't join them in the ghetto-ness. You just
Yeah, you don't
kind
get
of
ratchet. Yeah, I agree.
yeah. There's a lot of ratchet there.
I have a lot of family from Georgia, and every time I go there, I'm like, I just don't understand really the why people stick around there. But yeah, whatever.
Yeah. So it's a potential F really, but we could say D.
It's not an F. Like it has like some good colleges and good like Coca Cola is based there in Atlanta, and
Yeah, all right. Yeah, it's better than Alabama. So if Alabama's F, then Georgia can be D.
Alabama is actually D.
Should be F. That's all
Mississippi
right.
is F. Mississippi is F, but Alabama is D because I think Alabama like at least has some like is like funny. Like you can be like, oh, I'm in Alabama, ha ha ha. You know,
Uh,
Alabama's
well,
like
the reason that it's funny is because it's an F, but that's
no. I
all
think
right.
Mississippi is the one that's like that.
All right. If you want to keep the Fs more, I would be giving out more Fs than you. But
All the F's are places that like you feel depressed just being in. I don't think you going to Alabama was like an inherently depressing place.
all right. Yeah, maybe not. Not like yeah, Oklahoma or Arkansas or Mississippi. Okay. Uh, ready for another?
Sure.
Okay. Texas. We're gonna start to get into some of the, I've been
Ooh.
spacing out the heavy hitters, but
I've never been there, man.
we're gonna have to.
It's either a B. I think it's a. I got a lot of B's though. I'm gonna have to readjust this. Um, it's definitely not a C.
Yeah, it's like a B or maybe even an A minus.
I'll give it
No,
an A.
not
I'll give
C.
it an A. I'll give it an A.
Yeah, Texas is kind of A,
It
almost
is
in
kind
a
of A.
weird way. So if you want to talk about variation and like,
It's just yeah.
yeah,
It's a
it's
huge
a
state.
fucking mothership of a state.
It's a mothership state. Yeah, I'll give it an A. Yeah, yeah. And there's a lot of cities in there that are like really close together, so you can just hop from one to the other. And then there's
Mhm.
also cities on like the outskirts of the state too. So even if you know, it's like there's just stuff to do.
Right.
The nature is kind of samey, but I mean it's not like bad nature. It's so yeah,
Yeah.
give it an A. It's just and it's so big and it's so like homogenous that you feel like you're not you feel like you're not getting fucked with. It feels very like smooth. Something smooth about Texas.
Hmm.
Uh,
Yeah. And just yeah, the sense of freedom there, like kind of just libertarian. Even though of course you're always getting fucked here in America, but at least in Texas, you feel like you have a little bit more agency.
yeah,
Uh,
exactly. Yeah, exactly. All right, we'll move on. We'll move on.
all right, Montana.
Oh, I'm partial to Montana, but I couldn't give
Not a
it.
good thing. I've never been, but it seems like it would be pretty like pleasant country if maybe a little bit monotonous and boring. I mean, it's not exactly Utah, but it isn't like
It's
uh,
it's
Kansas.
really beautiful. I think it's a B. I think it's a B.
It's
It,
a B, like maybe like
B
natural
minus. It's a B
wise, but like
minus.
the
Yeah.
whole state.
No, well,
I think
this is
I
the
think it's a C statewide because there's nobody there.
yeah. I think but if you visited it, I think you would just get the perks and then leave. I don't think like as a visitor you would be missing much. I
Well,
think
are we
like
judging this off of being a visitor, or are we not also factoring in, if you're a resident?
but
Or
you could say the same thing
really
about
all.
California, man. I mean, there's a lot of places in California you wouldn't want to live, but people live there.
Yeah, but I mean, uh, no, that's not what I was saying. I was saying nobody lives in Montana. It's very very sparsely populated.
Well, that's a lot of states, but I
It
mean,
doesn't mean that people wouldn't want to live there. I mean, it's because of like it's the climate and like it just the cities aren't like what I guess it's the economy, right? Like there's just not stuff. It's never been a boom kind of place. It's like the place where people go and like kind of farm and ranch because apparently I guess it doesn't have like resources that are valuable up there.
all right, I'm gonna lower. I'll give it a. I'm gonna give it a D. I think it's kind of in the same level as Wyoming. or South
I
Dakota.
was gonna say C. I thought you started at B.
I
I
started
was
at B, but I thought about it, and it's like so much of it is just flat land that's not pretty, and then the western part is pretty, but it's like it's a little bit more money, or it's really hard to get around. There's no cell reception. There's like barely any people. It's like kind of wild. Um, it's
okay.
like frontier country. I don't think I can honestly recommend that to everyone. Like
Yeah.
I mean, it's a little bit like West Virginia or something. Like I mean, really, like I can't recommend. It's cool, but like you have to like brace yourself for it.
I think it's enough to earn a C personally, just for the beauty and the people are cool. Like I don't think D is quite deserved, but
Yeah, I'll go with B. I'll go with
no,
B.
you need C.
C. Okay, okay, we can do C. Yeah, let's do C. Yeah, it's similar to what did we say, New Mexico and Ohio or something, or Washington State. Fuck, I said that shit about Washington State. Oh yeah, no, but I don't want to. I don't think. Okay, I do think Montana is better than Washington. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna replace. I'm gonna make Washington Montana a B, and I'm gonna make Washington a C.
All right, that works.
Okay.
All right,
All right. We're
we're
running
running.
out.
We're almost, yeah, we're getting through them.
All right. What's
Uh,
next?
all right, you mentioned West Virginia, so let's do that, and then Virginia proper.
Okay, West Virginia is probably fine, but you're gonna get lead poisoning from drinking the tap water, or you're gonna get a black lung from the dust, from the coal
Well, we
dust.
didn't mention that in Mexico, or I mean, Mexico, Michigan. You know.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. Okay, that lowers Michigan. Michigan's D.
Well, I think that's going on. Well, no, Michigan is not D. Come on, dude. No,
Okay, Michigan's C. Sorry.
surrounded by lakes. It's got to be C at
Yeah, yeah,
least.
it's C. Okay, West Virginia
But
is
I mean, dude, places in
D.
Ohio, Kentucky, Illinois, Pennsylvania, they've all got like some really dark industrial histories.
Yeah.
But that shouldn't bring down the state now. I mean, I
No. Yeah.
guess like
Okay.
a little bit, because like if you're gonna live there, you're gonna have to deal with that. But it's also like it's in certain places. It's not like the whole state is contaminated. It's like, oh, if you live within a few miles of this, like you might get cancer. Like, but there's a lot of that. That's all over the East Coast because that's where they used to do, more high impact, like really destructive mining and shit like that, refining, whatnot. So kind of take that as a sort of catch-all for all these states. Okay. We're doing West Virginia and Virginia. We'll start with West Virginia.
West Virginia. I give it a D because it's got like I don't know. It's just it has a certain appeal, a certain charm, but there's an underbelly to it that I just think outweighs it. I think
I feel like it's all underbelly. That's why I would give it an F, because I don't see where the charm is like so small that it doesn't even compare to the
yeah, it's a
magnitude
little bit
of.
like Arkansas, isn't it? It's like it's got this little mountain vibe, but then you're like, huh, like why would I go there?
Yeah, I mean, look, this is its biggest town. There's not a single. There's like 16 buildings built out of steel in this entire town.
Look at this. No, but see, that's what I like. That's what I actually I like that kind of shit. Like,
Yeah, you think you do until, yeah, but like, spend 2 weeks there
yeah,
and
okay,
try and
fair, like,
find
fair
something to
point,
do.
fair point. All right. All right. You're like waking up screaming every night, like, where the fuck am I? What hotel is this? Like, like you could.
Yeah,
I know, like the hotel.
just
Yeah, it's creepy. It's a creepy state. I
That's
actually had a roommate from West Virginia, and he was creepy, and he was a nice guy, but it was like this. He had this creepiness, and I'm like, I guess he's just from West Virginia. I don't know.
yeah. No, nobody should ever have to be from West Virginia.
All right, all right. Let's move on. Let's move on. It's so horrible. All right.
All right. I guess we'll go to her sister, Virginia.
Okay, that's a D, isn't it? Like,
Probably. Yeah.
I mean, if Georgia's a D, I think Virginia is kind of there.
Yeah. No, yeah. Richmond, Virginia. Yeah, this is like even more ghetto than like I mean, Richmond, Virginia is a fucking is a nightmare. From what I've heard.
Yeah,
You do
Virginia.
not
I don't even know, dude. It's hard to even imagine.
bad
I feel like
bad town.
that's a place where the minimum wage is like $3. You know, it's like,
Yeah.
and
This
then
is where it's the real, the 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 real, as they might say, trash whites live.
I think it's a lot of black people actually working there, like a lot of
Uh,
working class black people.
well, maybe there probably is, but also like a lot of real low, like low class fucking whites as well. It's bad for everybody, really. It's just like where everybody go, like they have to
Yeah, you're cutting out. You're cutting out.
conglomerate kind of having something in their state.
Virginia Beach is okay. From what I hear, yeah, I guess a D is fine.
Yeah, it's still D. It's
Norfolk.
like it's the third class of everything it has. Everything it has, like we have a beach, we have a port, we have a capital city. Yeah, but they're all like real low on the rock.
Underachievers are all underachievers. I agree.
So yeah, D is good enough.
Okay, what's
Okay,
next? I'm tired of thinking about Virginia. It's the most
that
draining.
was
That was the
good.
most draining state to think about. It's like, oh,
Okay, let's
both the Virginias
uh
were draining.
we've done everything else west of the Mississippi, except there's two more we haven't done. Pick heads or tails.
Tails.
It's heads. That means California is
Oh
next.
no. Well, this is troublesome because we're obviously both natives to California, and we
Yeah,
also have.
but we have to do it. We have to treat it like all the other states.
Okay, I will give California a an A. Give me an A.
It's an A. It's an A. Yeah. There's
People that
really no.
think that California is like a C, which is like I think most Americans probably. I think
I
they,
don't think I don't think that's true. I think they all know it's an A. They that's why they don't like it.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Like it's an A, but it's also expensive. But it's not necessarily too. There's very cheap areas in California, like not like fucking Tennessee or nothing, but like as far as the state, I mean, it's the
you,
world's fifth largest economy.
yeah, and you can't deny that like it's got a lot of diversity of geography and people, and you can drive in any direction. You can find something cool, go far enough. I mean, it's a huge state, and it's like there is culture there. There's all the culture is there pretty much. Um,
Everything,
yeah,
everything you think of is
there's not a
there.
lot. There's not a lot of like theater or something, but like but that's in politics stuff. But that's about it. All the media is Hollywood. Just about. Okay, so then if we did California as an A, what's New York?
All right, we're gonna go right to that now too.
If you want.
Sure.
All right.
I mean, I mean, compared to California, I don't think it stands up to that standard. So I would call it a B, like if it was between that and California. But as far as all the states, I mean, New York carries enough to be an A
Yeah, it's an A.
to me. Yeah,
It's an A. It's actually such a beautiful
it's
state.
all just New
The
York
state
City.
itself is so beautiful that it's like it might even be more beautiful than California, like pound for pound. Because California has got like really cool parks and stuff, but New York has like it's like it doesn't have it just has so many beautiful little random spots that like California doesn't really have. Like California has a lot of ugly places and that you just kind of have to like you know trudge through. But upstate New York is just so beautiful. It's like I don't know. There's nothing quite like it.
I know what you mean,
It's like
and that's how I
Vermont. It's
got about that's how like you know West Pennsylvania is like it's if you look at upstate New York and Pennsylvania, like it's kind of congruous. Like I you can see it on the map right here. Like it's a they're both very beautiful. So you get out of the towns, you go up there. It's really cool, and I think upstate New York is rather similar to that. But New York City, which we have to shave off that part that is New Jersey. We're just talking about Manhattan and the five boroughs. Uh, I don't know. I'm just kind of like a sucker for all things New York City. So to me, it's hard to like whatever state that's in has to have an A. And I think probably the upstate like deserves an A too. So I guess it's yeah,
yeah. I mean,
clearly.
it's just such a good state. It's like the opposite of Virginia. It's like I mean, Virginia is not that bad, but like it's everything that we joke about with Virginia. It's like you can't joke about it with New York. That's what I like about it. So it's definitely the best state in the fucking whole like Maine, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Rhode Island. That shit is those states all look dumb as fuck compared to New York. You know what I mean? So it's New York is just like an A state.
All right.
You know it's a good state when it makes all the New England states look stupid.
All right. Well, let's make all the rest of them look stupid by talking about New Hampshire and Rhode Island.
Oh, I knew of a guy who died in New Hampshire. I've never been there. I have a friend in Texas who was from there, and he has this really funny accent. I don't know if it's a lisp or if it's a New Hampshire accent, but it seems like it might be an accent. And New Hampshire's all right. I think it's like Vermont, but it's like a Republican Vermont. Um, so whatever Vermont was, we'll give it the same. Uh, I guess a B.
They get
No,
a B.
no, it doesn't. Wait, I'm not gonna give it a B. I'll give it a C.
Vermont might really be a B too, or I mean a C.
Okay, Vermont is a C. Okay, all right, all right.
Mass should be a B then.
Massachusetts to BB.
Yeah,
Okay, we'll move Massachusetts up to B. Um, from C, you mean?
and Rhode Island can be a C.
The Rhode Island's a D.
D, really?
I actually don't even have that state. We're not gonna give all the. They're not all the same, dude. You have to understand this. Um,
Uh,
I would give Rhode Island a C because, or sorry, a D because it's so tiny. And then I'd give Massachusetts a C because it's like it's. I mean, I think Vermont, New Hampshire are probably nicer than Massachusetts. So
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No. Yeah. I don't know about Hampshire, but it probably is.
Maine. Okay, what about Maine?
Really don't know.
I want to say B, but like really, I don't know. Like, how good could that? How good?
And again, like where it's a question of what quality takes the most weight in our decision of good. Like, is it how many? Is it the big towns? Is it you know
It's just so
natural
cold.
beauty? Like
It's
what?
it's hard for me to. I don't know. I mean, it just seems like it's such a cold place. Like I don't know if like you could really. Uh, I'll give it a B. I think it has a simple identity that it sticks with, and it's always consistent with it. And I think that's B. That's B material.
Yeah. Um,
Like
the
it's like it does one thing and it just does it solid, and like that's what we're looking for with bees is solid.
okay. The last one east of the Miss is Kansas, or west rather. Kansas, probably F, right?
Kansas, man.
They got Kansas, or do they have Kansas City, or is that in Missouri?
There's a
It's
little bit of
Missouri.
it. A little
That's
bit
in
of it.
Missouri.
A little bit of it is a little like a fragment of a figment of it is in Kansas, but most of it's in Missouri. Um, I'll go
So
D.
they don't.
I'll go D with Kansas.
So it's F.
No, it's better than Nebraska. So if Nebraska's D, Kansas.
Nebraska is D. I would think that should be F.
No, because I said the thing about Omaha. I make it.
Uh, yeah, I don't know if that really carries.
Well,
Most of these have
Kansas does have
really.
Kansas City in my. I think I'll give it Kansas City. Like I'll give both
You're not
Missouri and
Missouri.
Kansas City. Kansas City.
Wait, what?
I'll give Kansas City to both
That
Kansas.
and St. Louis.
Missouri, like Kansas City, Missouri. Sorry. I'll give Kansas City to both Kansas and Missouri. So,
You can't. It has to be one.
all right, fuck. I'll give it an F. Okay, Kansas is an F.
KC is in Missouri. That's just it's that's how it is.
All right, all right. Okay, speaking of which, how about Missouri?
Well, D, I guess then,
No,
because it's got
Missouri's
city
fine.
and state.
I like Missouri. I'm giving it a B.
B,
Yeah.
not even C.
No, because it has Kansas City and it has St. Louis, and those cities are like
Okay,
some.
yeah, all right, maybe that's. I mean, I guess it kind of is like the king of like the mid, like the
Yeah, yeah.
Mississippi, like and plains, like it's right there in the like that's the node
It's a
the
solid. It's
node.
a solid state, even though it does kind of suck, but it's still kind of like it holds
Yeah,
its own.
yeah. How do you look at it? Yeah, it's like big ass hubs right there in between it, and it happens to have both.
My mom was
Totally fucked
my
up
mom was
Kansas
born
City.
in St.
How
Louis.
mad is Kansas that Kansas City doesn't own isn't owned by
See, that's
Kansas?
how baller Missouri is. They're like, no, we're gonna take Kansas City from Kansas.
Right, just right over the line there. It's like no scoop.
Got gerrymandered
Fuck.
out of it into oblivion, right? It's like Kansas,
Ugh,
dude.
Kansas had nothing else. Like they already had a nice town. Like you could have given Kansas one thing to hold on to, but you didn't.
Okay, okay. What about Iowa? What do you give? What are you gonna give for Iowa?
Oh, yeah, all right. Moving up. Uh I would say probably NF.
It's not that bad. I have a lot of family in Iowa. It's not that bad.
Well, it looks pretty hopeless to me, man. Look at all just like this kind of grid layout. Uh, Des Moines and what is it, Omaha? No,
Oh,
that's
it's Cedar Rapids,
Nebraska.
Des Moines. It's not an F. It's it's a D. It's a D.
A D, yeah, I guess a D then.
It's got really good. It's got really pretty hills in the summer and stuff. It's like it's like it literally looks like it's France or something. It's really wild.
Um, well, let's not forget about our territories overseas. Hawaii.
Um,
A.
I'm not gonna give it an
Obviously.
A. I'm not gonna give it a 5. I'll give it a B.
Talking about it's Hawaii.
Yeah, but it's there's got so many problems there. It's like,
Does it really?
and it's so expensive, like top to bottom. It's just so expensive. It's almost not even like realistic to like.
It's not that
And
expensive
then
if you don't need to stay in like fucking uh resorts and shit,
no,
dude.
no, no,
It's
no.
actually
The food prices are really expensive in Hawaii. The consumer prices, really, like they're like,
well,
yeah.
yeah.
It's like like in New York is like you can get like normal groceries at least. In Hawaii you can't get normal groceries, or like you can, but it's hard. Like whereas here it's easy. Hawaii is really
Is it that
expensive.
hard in Hawaii, really? I mean, how
Yeah,
are you supposed to
I
fucking
mean,
eat then?
you literally the people just eat shitty, eat like cheaper diets. They just eat that. That's why it sucks. Is you have to eat like fruits and rice and beans. Even
That
as
doesn't-
they had this thing where like when they ship all the goods to Hawaii, they have to go to like to Long Beach first before they can actually send it to Hawaii. So they bypass Hawaii from Asia and then they just go to Long Beach and then go all the way to Hawaii. That's why things are so expensive.
Damn, how much this shit is like so fucking
And there's like tons of meth,
developed,
and it's
so
like
developed for an
there's a
island.
lot of racism too. It's not this. It's like and the people that like go to these resorts are like the most annoying people because they're all like middle Americans who like don't want to go to a country. They just want to go to the United
See,
States.
see all this you see all this development like reaching up into like the mountain valleys.
There's also a lot of military bases or naval bases there and stuff. And
Yeah.
there's like islands that are like controlled by like companies. It's kind of a trippy place. I'll give it that. It's like it's definitely. I mean, it's definitely worth a B, but I'm not gonna give it an A. I mean,
I have a family member. I think he's an uncle or like a step uncle or something. But he's living on I think it's Kauai. Yeah. He built he he's like a Vietnam veteran and since Vietnam like he's just like stayed away from society. Like he apparently has had like hella PTSD. So like he built like himself like a house on Kauai or something. And I've seen like a few pictures of it, but like that's all I know about the guy.
yeah. Oh, wow. Okay. I mean, it's definitely a fascinating, you know, archipelago. But like, it's an archipelago. I'm not gonna give that an A. You know what I mean?
Even
Maybe.
though it's I mean okay, well it's Hawaii and it's in the middle of the Pacific.
Yeah,
It's like the
another logistical problem that we all have to worry about. I know, and it's got a volcano too. I don't know. I
you
mean,
don't think the cool factor counts enough
I don't think it's that cool. I think
to
I think
get
it's a
that
little bit. I think it's a little bit played out. Like all this, I think like Montana is cooler than Hawaii. Weirdly, I mean, I think Hawaii's like close, but I just don't think it's as cool as like some of the other states that we have. It's definitely cooler than like Florida or
Way out
Colorado or
is
something.
way out in the Pacific, like, that extends, like, we have something way out there that's still a state.
Yeah, but I've been there, man. And once you're off the beaches, it sucks. Like the weather, the weather is not fun unless you're at the beach. The weather is just really, really balmy. It's not, it's like the weather is not like necessarily
I
good.
guess I don't mind that as much then, because like
No, have you
I've
ever
been
been
there.
to have you ever been to the town? Like walked around town in Hawaii? It's like the worst
Yeah,
weather.
yeah, yeah. Of course. I
Uh,
mean, yeah, that just goes along with, any tropical climate.
all right, I'll give it an A. You sold me on it.
Did I, or are you just trying to
No, you did you sold me on it. I think I
all
could
right.
overlook the weather if I just maneuvered and was able to avoid the hottest parts of the tarmac or whatever. Yeah, as long as you just avoid the asphalt and the concrete, I think. Don't play any basketball. I think I'll be fine. Okay. Well, we don't have that many states left, so we can plow through. What's next?
Louisiana.
Oh, that's a funny one. I'll give Louisiana. It's either a B or an A.
Yeah, I think yeah.
Oh yeah, I'll give it A. I'll give it A.
Yeah.
Super
I mean,
low, super low property taxes. It's got the lowest property taxes I think of any state. Maybe top, lowest three, let's say. But for like what you get in buying property there, in like say New Orleans or something, it's like really crazy how low the property taxes are.
oh man. Now I'm automatically thinking of like, ooh, that might be a cool place to like buy a spot later on. You never know.
Yeah, no, you could get a shotgun house. You ever hear that?
What's that?
That's a house it's just like a hallway. It's got rooms that are like it doesn't have any horizontal rooms. All the rooms just go straight. So like um like you shoot a shotgun down, it can go through all the walls.
To the next room.
It's like a very narrow house that only has the rooms are only like you have to pass one door, pass through the successive doors in order to get to the various rooms. But they all succeed
So,
each other. Yeah, it's
so you go through each room to
you go
get
through
to the
each room
next.
into the next one. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they have some that have like two stories to them, but they don't have any. They're never like wide enough to like have like a room that
A hall.
a hallway. Yeah, or a room you go to. Yeah, they're very
That's
interesting.
like, it's like, oh, that's not that bad, but also like it's like a step down in civilized housing.
Yeah, it's a little bit country kind of feeling. It's like podunk kind of.
Exactly. It's like, we'll just walk through everybody. Like it's like
Well, that's what's cool about Louisiana is that they just don't give a shit. It's like they have their bourbon, they have their it's a goofball kind of place, but that's what's great about it.
right.
Okay, what's next?
It's what we got. I'm just doing this as far as I can remember. Like I'm pretty sure I know which ones we talked about. Uh, I don't think we did Illinois. Yeah,
Okay,
did we?
Illinois sucks. Illinois is so boring. Chicago makes it a little bit better, but that also fucks with the taxes and whatnot, and the funding. I would give Illinois a C, just because of Chicago and because it's like a big state. So but if it weren't for Chicago, I'd give Illinois like an F. I took a
Yeah.
Greyhound from Chicago to St. Louis, which is on the other side of Illinois, and it was the most boring drive I've ever had in my life.
Yeah, Peoria. That's where
I mean, they have some interesting. They have some all right towns, but like it's just not like they have yeah, Urbana, Champaign, or whatever, or Springfield, or whatever. I have a friend who's from a town called Peru, Illinois. They also have Rockfield, Rockville, or whatever, Illinois. It's like, and they have something called the Quad Cities, and they have something called they have a town that Ulysses S. Grant lived in for a long time. It's like really nice. So there's things in Illinois, but it's I don't
it
know.
might. I mean, it might be C
C
because of that.
is pretty good for considering how boring it is,
Yeah.
but it's not like a B. I mean, no way,
No.
no way.
No.
I'm still on the fence about Washington. Like, should Washington be a B or a C? I've been going over this. I keep going back to this. Like, is Washington?
Mm, probably C.
Okay. Yeah, the people are really rude in Washington too. Not a lot of people know this, but like, Washington is known for having people that just sort of don't give a shit about anyone else.
Right.
It's like New York, but like without any of the prestige. Like it's just
Yeah.
okay. What's next?
All right. Did we rank Illinois?
Yeah, we ranked it a C.
Okay.
C is our number
Uh,
one category. Uh, we
I
have
know.
so far we have
We're
one,
a
2,
little,
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 states, just like the colonies. 13 states in C. And
okay.
surprisingly, well, most of the ones that are C states are either, there's like, I think this is, the ones that are C states are surprisingly, sorry, we actually don't. Illinois had a duplicate, so there's only 12 in C. And there's actually a surprising variety. There's some Western states, there's some Midwestern, there's some East Coast. Okay.
All right. There's only a couple left to do.
Yes.
So, Kentucky.
That's the state you just can't give a B. Um, but it's got a lot of interesting stuff in the eastern part of it. It's not like a totally barren. It's not barren of culture. It's got some very distinct culture. The nature isn't super great, but the nature is also kind of interesting because it's kind of like odd. So I will give it a C. I think it's more interesting than Virginia or Georgia or Wyoming or Nebraska or Iowa or Alabama or South Dakota. I'll give it a C, not a D.
Yeah. I mean, it's got that whole.
It's like the Washington State of the Appalachia. Um,
Right. It's got a little more going for it.
okay, what about Oregon?
Oh yeah, we haven't done that yet, huh? Oregon. Good catch. I forgot.
Yes.
Uh, Probably a B or an A, right?
I don't know, man. I don't know if it's that good. Uh, it's so expensive now that I don't know. I would think Oregon is kind of.
I think only in Portland it's expensive. Not that expensive in most of Oregon.
Yeah, but Oregon. I don't know how it is where you are, but I felt like always awkward in like the towns in Oregon. I felt like they were kind of had an awkwardness to them. Like I felt like everyone was on everyone. It felt very like psychedelic, but like not in a comfortable, not in a cozy way. It was psychedelic in like a
Right, like a foggy,
yeah, yeah.
like sketchy, like fucking bad trip way, like you're gonna fuck
It
no.
felt like I got kicked off a cliff or something. It was like, and I was like falling into the mist, and I'm like, oh, when am I gonna die? I don't know. I'm just still falling. That's kind of how Oregon feels when you're outside Portland. Um, but then you go in the eastern part, and it's basically just like this kind of cowboy desert country. So there's a lot of variety. I'll give it a C.
C to the state of fucking
I
Oregon.
will. I will. I will. Disclaim by saying that Oregon is one of my favorite states, but that's like a personal bias. I don't objectively think it's one of the best states. But I don't know, man. Maybe that matters. I don't know. Maybe I'll give it a B. Yeah, I'll give it a B.
No, no, you give it what you want.
I give it a B. The fact that I wanted to live there should indicate that it has something going for it. Well, okay. What's next?
Okay, we got Indiana. You haven't done yet.
Indiana's probably a D. It's like it's not as awesome as Ohio, but it's not a lot better than Iowa. So
Looks like a spider. Look at Indiana. It literally has one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight fucking roads.
also the location of
Look at what
Indianapolis
I'm.
is really good.
Can you see what I'm?
That's actually a pretty good location.
It's got 8 legs.
Look at where Indianapolis is, though. Look at where Indianapolis is. It's like near Chicago, Detroit, Cincinnati, Louisville,
Toledo.
Spring. I mean, kind of. I don't know. I mean, it really seems like a pretty good.
Yeah,
Like
it's
if
like
you had an apartment in Indianapolis, like that might be like kind of a good like bachelor pad because you could go to all those places quick, fairly quickly.
totally, and everybody would be coming through that area
Yeah,
too.
exactly. Everyone wants to go to Chicago. They're like, oh, we go to Indianapolis. I mean, it's like the greatest truck stop in the world. It's like, isn't it's a little bit like Salt Lake City. It's like every truck has to go there, and it's just like what it is. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm like inspired to like peregrinate to Indianapolis. Okay, what's next?
Um, Alaska.
Alaska. Oh yeah, that's got to be a C because it's just so cold and weird. But the nature is like the only reason you go there. So
Hmm.
it's a really one-sided state, and a
I
very
mean,
hard.
it's so unbelievably different than all of it. Like it's kind of crazy that we even have this thing, you know, like
Yeah,
this
it's
massive.
it's like it's actually weird that it even exists.
It's huge. Like look
Yeah,
how big it is compared. Like it's like a fucking quarter of the continental United States. You know,
yeah.
the size.
Well, that's the last
So
frontier. I mean, people don't even fuck around in most of it.
yeah,
Fairbanks is pretty deep. Fairbanks is like kind of in the center, uh, and Fairbanks is really really cold, and it has a lot of smog too. I wouldn't even. The only reason I go to Alaska is to do some kind of like fishing job, or to like drive a motorcycle up to like the very tippy top of it, and then put a flag in the earth, and then bike all the way back down again. Or yeah, maybe I go kill a bear in one of the Kodiak Islands or something.
yeah. It's just cool to have this much fucking wild territory, like that you can just go to Alaska and just like go out and like fucking be a
Yeah, I'm going there this summer actually.
grizzly man, motherfucker.
I'm gonna go
If you
work. I'm gonna work there this summer actually. But I'm not sure. I'm not sure like if I'm gonna be near nature or not. I might not be that close to nature. I'll have to look into it. Anyway,
so is that a C for Alaska then?
yeah, it's a C. It's just such a wild card.
All right, I give it at least like I mean I get we're not doing like
You
C
get
plus.
you give it an A, kind of like Hawaii, just for being really distinct.
Yeah, I like our colonies.
All right, I'll give it an A. I'll give it an A.
The colonies deserve A's because they're just so different from the continental. That's my that's my thinking. But maybe it's you know romantic just for liking the fact that
Well,
they're
do
distant.
you like Guam or the Marshallese Islands? The Marshall
Yes.
Islands? Or would you give those an A?
Well, I mean, no, because then they're going like against like proper states in the U. Like whole states in the U.S. Those don't matter because like those don't get as much toward maybe even okay. So like Alaska probably doesn't deserve a full A. It'd be like a B. But Hawaii does because it gets a ton of like tourism. But the other territories, they don't get any tourism. So they probably shouldn't even be ranked because we're doing states. And
Hey,
speaking of, um, let me
so we
see.
got we got we got like we got one left actually, just one.
New Jersey.
Oh shit, we didn't do that one. Um, we have two left: New Jersey and Tennessee.
We
And
did Tennessee.
no, we didn't. We did Kentucky.
Oh, okay. I
Tennessee
thought,
is it's got a lot of personality, but I don't think it holds its weight the way Texas does. Sort of like a dump. It's sort of like a weird small version of Texas. I, is my feeling about Tennessee. Um, I had been to Nashville, but I wasn't really that impressed. But it did have like a lot of distinction and quirky cultural sort of moments, and it was a little bit like a really tiny version of Las Vegas or something. I wasn't super impressed. It was very glitzy. The people were like a lot of homeless people trucking around. Um, just trash was everywhere. Kind of Beale Street was sort of whatever looking. It seemed properly southern. It also just seemed run down and dilapidated. The people are cool. People are very friendly though, and the accents are some of the best Southern accents you'll find. But I don't know Tennessee. I'll give it a B because it's the one state that kind of gives itself a B just off its personality. Actually, no, it's not the only state. I think New Jersey does, and I'll give New Jersey a B too.
New Jersey.
Yeah, New Jersey gets a B too. Yeah.
All right. I can go with that.
Ohio, by the way, is like the only state that I would consider a C plus. All the other states are either C or C minus. So that means
Okay.
Washington State is not a C plus. Wisconsin is not a C plus. South Carolina is not a C plus. Minnesota is not a C plus. Idaho is not a C plus. Michigan is not a C plus. No,
Are you checking these right now?
no. We've edited the list, and I'm just sort of counting everything back up. And only one of all the C states, only one is a C plus, and that's Ohio. Everything else is a C or a C minus. And then B, we have the only B plus on there is I think Oregon is the only B plus on the B list. Oregon and yeah, that's it. That's the only one that's a B plus. Everything else is a B or B minus. On the A list, the only A plus is
There's no A pluses.
we will give Hawaii an A plus, and then we'll give every other state an A, and then we'll give Pennsylvania and North Carolina A minus, and Louisiana will give an A minus, and then we'll give Texas a solid A, as well as New York and California, and
You
Alaska.
don't give A plus. You just give an A and then A minus. There's no such thing as an A plus.
Okay, fine. All right, you win. All right, well then for D, I'll give Wyoming a
I think
B.
all the other ones have pluses, but just not A.
Okay, yes, I'll give an F doesn't either. I'll give Wyoming a D plus, and I'll give Georgia a D plus, and everything else will just be solid D. Wait, no, Indiana is a C. Indiana is a C. It's not a D. My mistake.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
And Illinois is a D.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah, I try not to include the cities too much. So like Chicago, um, the biggest cities like Houston, Chicago, New York, and L.A. I don't try to include them too much, and as a I don't as a weighting factor. All right, we'll end the podcast there. I hope. Okay, well, I hope it worked. Um,
That was a that was a worthy investigation.
Precisely.